Days after that attack, Fox News learning the CIA's former acting director got a critical email 4 days after the attack, saying it was not connected to any protest, but some talking points claiming such a link went out anyway only days before the election of 2012. Our chief intelligence correspondent, Catherine Herridge, tracking all of this down now from Washington. Catherine, what have you learned?
Well, thank you, Bill. New details in the Senate Intelligence Committee report shed more light on the timeline and what the Deputy Director of the CIA, Mike Morell, and others were told 4 days after the attack. They got this email that reported the attacks were, quote, not an escalation of protests. That email was from the CIA Chief of Station in Libya, the most senior intelligence officer on the ground.
The way the agency works, he's been running 24 hours a day to nail every fact. And now he's reaching out 4 days into this email directly to the most senior levels of his organization, saying, again, with the big red crayon as clearly as he can, there were no protests.
While the Senate report does not explain when Morell read the email, it says on that same day he edited the talking points, excising about half of the text. The word Islamic was cut, but demonstration stayed in. The next day, September 16th, the same day Susan Rice was on TV, Morell then asked CIA staff in Libya for more information. And 2 days later, on the 18th, the CIA and FBI reviewed closed-circuit TV video from the consulate that showed definitely that there were no protests. 2 months after the attack in November of 2012, at the height of the talking points controversy, after Susan Rice went on the Sunday talk shows, Morell went with Susan Rice to Capitol Hill to meet with 3 Republican senators. This morning, Senator Ayotte explained what happened.
In that meeting, when Susan Rice was with Director Morell, when he blamed the FBI for changing those talking points, and, then we call the FBI goes crazy and said, we didn't change the talking points. And so you have to wonder, particularly now that we know that he may have received that email the day before, what was going on?
Since leaving government, Morell joined Beacon Global Strategies, a firm founded by Philippe Reines, recently described by the New York Times Magazine as Clinton's principal gatekeeper. Morell also gave an interview to the Wall Street Journal, which reported his interest, quote, in advising future presidential campaigns, adding that he is close to Mrs. Clinton. Morell declined Fox's offer to speak on camera about the Senate report and his decisions before, during, and after the attack, but insisted in a written statement that the Senate report strongly supports the CIA's position that the talking points were not politicized in any way, Bill.
Catherine, thank you. Catherine Herridge on that, again from Washington.